25 minutes before 9 o'clock, it's time for us to deliver the news to you. We'll take the news from around the world, around the nation, around the state, and around town, and we'll shorten it. We call the segment NewsBites. That's because it's all bite-sized. It gives you a chance to hear the gist of the story and get on with your day. We'll squeeze in about 20 stories this morning. Dan Martone sitting in for Robin McLean.
Let's not push it.
Well, that's why I say 20. And we'll also tell you the news agency we're getting the story from, and that's important because you may want to read more about the story on your own. Most of the stories we will read to you are coming from, all of them are coming from one agency or another, but most of them are being covered by many of them. And the first is this heartbreaking story from the it's from the Associated Press out of the nation of Turkey. Women wailed uncontrollably. Men knelt sobbing, and others just stared in disbelief outside of a coal mine in western Turkey as rescue workers removed a steady stream of bodies from an underground explosion and fire that killed at least 232 workers. The fate of more than 100 miners remained unclear in one of Turkey's worst mining disasters. Recep Tayyip Erdogan postponed a foreign trip and gave an updated death toll figure during a visit to the coal mine in Soma, about 155 miles south of Istanbul. The energy minister said the deaths were caused by carbon monoxide poisoning. Wow. Just a horrible story.
Bad. And we talked about that earlier. You know, why are we still sending so many men down there? Why can't we do a little bit more automatically? I wonder if it's because it's in Turkey, not as developed.
Maybe, could be. But we have coal mines here too.
Not as much as we used to, I don't think. Do we still send hundreds and hundreds of men down?
Yeah, sure.
Do we really?
I'm sure we do.
I don't know. I don't know anything about it. All right. Man who plotted to kill Obama is sentenced to death. A South Dakota judge formally sentenced a man to death for killing a woman as part of what he said was a plot to assassinate President Barack Obama. The hearing Tuesday formalized the unanimous vote of a jury to sentence 44-year-old James McVeigh to death. McVeigh would have been sentenced to life in prison without parole if the jury's decision had not been unanimous. McVeigh pleaded guilty, but mentally ill, to murder in 2011 stabbing of a 75-year-old Mabel Sheen. Or Sheen, I'm not sure the pronunciation. McVeigh said he killed Sheen and stole her car as part of his plan to drive to Washington and kill the president. He was later arrested in Madison, Wisconsin. Sheen's family declined to speak during the hearing. Prosecutors, McVeigh, and his defense team also did not comment. Minnehaha County Public Defender Tracy Smith filed a motion hours before hearing asking Lieberman to vacate the sentence based on remarks made by the prosecution during closing arguments last month. McVeigh's sentence will automatically be reviewed by the South Dakota Supreme Court. So although he's sentenced to death, they still have to review that because I guess, obviously he's mentally ill. I mean, who shoots a 75-year-old lady, steals her car to drive all the way to Washington, D.C. to kill the president?
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many holes in that story, it's just not even funny. He's obviously mentally disabled.
The next story is from CNN. Malik Benjalul, the Oscar-winning director of Searching for Sugarman, died suddenly yesterday. He was 36 years old. No crime is suspected in the filmmaker's death, according to Stockholm Police Sergeant Jan Gillstedt. Gillstedt would not specify the cause of death and said he was unable to disclose any information. Searching for Sugarman, Benjulul's critically acclaimed film about singer Sixto Rodriguez won an Academy Award for Best Documentary last year. The documentary tells the story of Rodriguez, a singer from Detroit who never gained fame in America, but somehow became a legend in South Africa.
I didn't see the movie.
I didn't either.
But it won an Academy Award?
Yeah.
Huh. Well, I'll have to look that up now. Was it last year? Last year?
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. New generation of vets demand a VA for the 21st century. And we talk about this all the time. We're going to be talking about it tomorrow a little bit more. The Department of Veterans Affairs has calcified under Secretary Eric Shinseki, a retired Vietnam general, some post-9/11 veterans and advocates claim, causing vast numbers of young ex-combat troops to lose faith in the agency's Pony Express pace. Shinseki is scheduled to testify Thursday before a Senate committee on the state of the VA healthcare, following allegations that at least 40 veterans died while on a secret waiting list at the VA hospital in Phoenix, Arizona. Employees at other VA health facilities have also admitted they were coached on how to cook the books and hide true patient wait times. The American Legion plans to hold a town hall meeting on VA healthcare issues on Tuesday evening in Phoenix. Now that's sad but true. We hear it every week. You know, all these other VA, you hear stories all the time from veterans about how poorly they were treated at certain VAs. Now, ours is doing better than it was due to, I think, in part, our program here on Thursday mornings.
Oh, absolutely. To the guys who are on that program.
Yeah, you know, they open the chain of communication, they open the line of talks, and it's benefited everybody.
I think, well, it's a commentary, and we want to be reading the news, but I think what happened was once Hank got the show, all of a sudden they said, "Oh my God, there's a guy with a show."
Yeah,
and it really made a difference.
I think so too.
Anyway, in not related to that story really, but it's just another health story. Medicare. This is from CBS. Medicare spent at least $1.9 billion in 2009 on 26 types of tests and procedures that offer patients few or no health benefits, according to a new study. At least 1 in 4 Medicare patients received at least one of these services in 2009, according to the analysis of claims made by more than 1.3 million Medicare patients that year, according to Harvard Medical School researchers. The 26 procedures examined in the study are among hundreds of healthcare services known to provide little or no medical gain to patients in many cases, according to the report from CBS.
Well, that's, par for the course, I guess. Asian futures rise as euros hold and drops while crude oil climbs. Most Asian index features rose as the Standard & Poor's 500, the S&P, the index held at a record, while disappointing U.S. retail sales fueled an advance in treasuries. Well, that's okay. The euro was near a 5-week low versus the dollar as oil maintained gains before U.S. government data on suppliers. So small businesses not doing so great as earlier anticipated, and oil going up. Wow, what are the odds? Futures on indexes in Hong Kong added a 0.2% in most recent trading, and Nikkei 225 stock average contracts rose. In the ASCA pre-market, the S&P 500 futures were little changed after the gauge closed up less than 0.1%, an all-time high. The euro bought 1.3708 by 8:51 a.m. in Tokyo after touching the weakest level since April 4th, and the Indian rupee forward extended their advance. Oil in New York rose a second day on prospect. Stockpiles at Cushing, Oklahoma fell last week. Well, that's a lot of... Okay, that just tells me oil's up and small business is down a little bit.
From the Associated Press, wildfires pushed by gusty winds chewed through canyons, parched by California's drought, prompting evacuation orders for more than 20,000 homes on the outskirts of San Diego and another 1,200 homes and businesses in Santa Barbara County, 250 miles to the north. No homes were reported damaged in either fire, but hundreds were considered threatened. The rugged terrain and unseasonably warm temperatures made firefighting even more difficult. The flames that erupted in the fire-prone Rancho Bernardo area of San Diego quickly grew to 700 acres, driven by hot, dry Santa Ana winds that whipped through areas dotted by hilltop estates and pricey new housing tracts. Black and gray smoke billowed over the area, filled with whirling ash and embers that created small spot fires. Flames crept within yards of some homes before firefighters were able to douse them. On one road, people on bicycles and skateboards stopped to watch as a plane dumped water on flames a half mile away. At least 2 high schools and 3 elementary schools were also evacuated. And again, that's from the Associated Press.
I bet they didn't get cited for riding their bicycles. Stupid. U.S. sanctions over African Republic violence. President Barack Obama is ordering sanctions against 5 individuals for threatening stability and stoking sectarian violence in the Central African Republic. Obama on Tuesday signed an executive order that sanctions 3 people already designated for sanctions by the United Nations, plus 2 additional individuals. The order also opens the door for U.S. to sanction additional individuals in the future. The White House says Obama has also declared a national emergency with respect to the situation in the Central African Republic. This, according to the Las Vegas Sun. I didn't see much in the way of the other news at Central African Republic. I'll do a follow-up on that. I'll look at that while you're doing some other stuff.
The next story is from the Washington Post. The world's oldest sperm has been discovered, and It is gigantic. There's little about this discovery that isn't gross. It looks like angel hair pasta. It's undeniably enormous, and it's cocooned in bat poop. It's the world's oldest sperm. In 1988, a group of Australian paleontologists came upon a fossil cave inside Australia's vast River Sleigh World Heritage Fossil Site in northern Queensland. The most interesting part of the cave, researchers thought then, were its millions of bat fossils. They were everywhere: bat bones, bat skulls, bat teeth, and lots of bat guano. It was filled with these wonderful bat fossils, said paleontologist Michael Archer, one-time director of the Australian Museum, in a report with the Washington Post an interview that he gave by phone. Bats are fascinating, he told the reporters, and we thought that was all the game was. The game would get a whole lot more exciting, though. Turns out the limestone actually contained soft tissue of an ancient mussel shrimp known as an ostracod, but it wasn't just any soft tissue. It was perfectly preserved giant sperm that they estimate is 17 million years old. These are the oldest fossilized sperm ever found in the geological record, according to Archer, who co-authored the study published this morning in the Proceedings of the Royal Society B. So, it is staggering, he said.
Okay, so it's a shrimp sperm?
It's a shrimp sperm, but it's the largest. That's crazy.
A giant shrimp sperm? So is this saying the shrimp is like 10 feet tall? Is it the largest for shrimp? Is it the largest among mammals in the world?
It's so large, it looks like angel hair pasta.
That's just weird.
That is gross.
Yeah, that's pretty messed up.
Yeah.
All right, well. How old was the bat?
Well, the sperm was 17 million years old. So
I'm assuming they just got
the bat that pooped on it
17 million years old.
I mean, if it's pooping on sperm, it must be pretty old.
Okay. FNN News from Tallahassee, Florida. The governor and members of the state cabinet have signed off on Florida's Power and Light plan to build 2 more nuclear power plants. Oh, wow. At Turkey Point. FPL's Stephen Scruggs says this project will be an economic driver for the entire state. We're talking about 8,000 jobs and over $36 billion into the Florida economy, benefiting Florida residents for generations to come, he said. But Susan Glickman with the Southern Alliance for Clean Energy says nuclear power plants are too dangerous and cost too much. It may serve Florida Power and Light shareholders, she said, but it does not serve and protect the board interests of the public. This vote was a big win for Florida Power and Light, but there will be more legal challenges, and they still don't have any federal permits to build the power plants. So the Tallahassee said yay, and we still have some federal power things to deal with. And where is Turkey Point?
Oh, goodness.
Any clue?
Isn't that south of here?
I don't know. I know in Orlando there's a Turkey area point over there. But.
The next story is from MSNBC. The courage displayed by Army Sergeant Kyle White when he ran into enemy fire to save his fellow soldiers should motivate Americans to be the best we can be to our veterans. That, according to President Barack Obama in a ceremony yesterday presenting White with the Medal of Honor. White braved enemy fire to rescue a fellow soldier and comfort another in his final moments after U.S. troops were ambushed in the remote and mountainous region of Afghanistan in 2007. Kyle remembered thinking, it's just a matter of time before I'm dead. If that's going to happen, I might as well help someone while I can, Obama said during a ceremony at the White House. And again, the story from MSNBC.
That's kind of, yeah. Oil production from the Eagle Ford shale play in Texas is expected to increase by 27,000 barrels per day next month, making Texas the lead in oil production. A U.S. government report said that the Energy Information Administration published its drilling productivity report Monday, showing anticipated production levels across the 6 regions. Bakken, Ford, Hayes, blah, 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 a bunch of regions. They combined to account for more than 90% of the domestic oil production growth and nearly all of the gas production growth between 2011 and 2012. For these counties, they said its expected oil production is to increase by 27,000 to reach 1.41 million by June. That's barrels per day, BPD. So a lot of oil, and that's good. Texas is still still our number one, which makes you want to say, why is it so high? I know. There you go. Taxes and government at work.
The next story is from the Associated Press. America's roads, bridges, and ports are falling apart, and the federal government is running out of money to fix them. So President Barack Obama is heading to a crumbling bridge outside of New York City to try to pressure Congress into giving the nation's infrastructure an infusion of cash. Obama was to travel today to the Tappan Zee Bridge, a major crossing point over the Hudson River that's in dire need of replacement nearly 6 decades after being built. In addition to calling on lawmakers to back his transportation plan, Obama will promote efforts to cut red tape and delays in permitting, according to the statement from the White House. While in New York, Obama will also headline a pair of high-dollar fundraisers benefiting Democratic candidates competing in the midterm elections.
Okay, 2 comments on that. 1, I'll believe it when I see it. And 2, yeah, that's exactly where all the money needs to be going, is to our roads, to our bridges, to our poorly deteriorating electrical infrastructure. Okay, that's it. That's all I'm going to comment on that one. All right, in a little happier news, in Orlando, Universal Orlando Resort has revealed details about its new attraction, Harry Potter and the Escape from Gringotts. It's been described as a revolutionary attraction that will be at the core of the soon-to-open attraction, the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley. The attraction also splices the visitors into one of the more action-packed scenes from Harry Potter film, where Harry, Ron, and Hermione break into the most guarded places in the Wizarding World, which is Gringotts Bank. Gringotts is a heavily guarded bank, if you hadn't catch that, to retrieve a magical object that will help defeat Lord Voldemort. He's the bad guy. That, by the way, is part of the guest experience, battling dark wizards, facing down a dragon, and fetching said magical objects in order to help stop Voldemort. Universal's creative team worked hand in hand with Stuart Craig and his production team from the Harry Potter films to immerse guests in this pivotal scene from the final Harry Potter book and film. For the record, the dragon in the adventure is the same one that perches atop Gringotts at Universal, a Ukrainian iron belly. And while the adventure Escape from Gringotts is the centerpiece of the bank, there is some serious layer cake under that icing. Oh, that's nice. As a visitor, you'll tour Gringotts Bank and pass through the Marble Hall, where you'll see all the goblins hard at work, where you'll see all the offices, the vaults, the ledger rooms, and you'll race through a labyrinth of underground Gringotts vaults, encountering the nefarious Death Eaters, Bellatrix Lestrange, and she attempts to send you to your doom. And even come face to face with he who must not be named. That's Voldemort. Not bad for an excursion to the bank. Universal is, again, ramping talent and technology to the next level with this attraction. I wonder where this press release came from. The entire experience is a compilation of technology that includes a 360-degree theme set, 4K digital high-definition animation, state-of-the-art 3D projection systems, and live special effects with characters and moments from the Harry Potter books and films. Universal is promising that the Wizarding World of Harry Potter Diagon Alley will bring even more of Harry Potter's adventures to life. The new area will double the size of the land already found at Universal Orlando, expanding the themed environment across both Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure. Universal has not released the grand opening date for the Wizarding World Diagon Alley, but appears on track for a summer debut. I'm going to get some MediaComp tickets and go to that thing.
I hope so, and I'm so glad you read that one, because I would have stumbled on every one of those names.
Yeah, they are a mess, aren't they?
Yeah, man, you knew them well.
Bellatrix Lestrange.
All right, another story from CNN. A Louisiana man claims in a new book that his biological father was the notorious Zodiac Killer of Northern California, who's still sought by authorities. According to the publisher of the book, HarperCollins, the Zodiac serial killer is believed to have killed 5 people in 1968 and 69 and gained notoriety by writing several letters to police boasting of the slayings with swatches of bloody clothing as proof of his claims. The serial killer claimed to have killed as many as 37 people and has never been caught. Now, Gary L. Stewart, a vice president of the cleaning company Delta Tech Service in Baton Rouge, is recounting his decade-long search for his biological father and has concluded that man, Earl Van Best Jr., who's now dead, was the Zodiac Killer. Yesterday, police in Northern California said they weren't aware of the book or its claims.
So he claims to have found it. Yeah, I found my father. He was a Zodiac Killer.
He says he was his father, yeah.
But we got nothing to back that up.
So he wrote a book, and he says that it was his father, and I guess...
so if I write a book and say, Al Capone, he was my great-grandfather's uncle.
Yeah, I know.
Prove it.
Right, that's the... Yeah. I guess that's part of that story, yeah.
All right. Biden's son gets Ukrainian oil company gig. Yeah, we touched on this a little bit earlier. Vice President Joe Biden's youngest son, Hunter Biden. How many kids does he have?
I don't know.
No. He's joined the board of directors of Ukraine's largest oil company at a time that the U.S. is urging Ukraine to develop energy independence from Russia, and just days after the vice president visited Ukraine. The vice president's office and the White House rejected any possible suggestions there was a conflict of interest. Hunter Biden is a private citizen and a lawyer. Vice President Biden's spokeswoman Kendra Barkoff told ABC News the vice president does not endorse any particular company and has no involvement with this company. Yeah. Can you feel the sarcasm out of my voice on that one? Okay.
The next story is from Reuters news agency. A U.S. appeals court yesterday upheld a decision to refuse to allow the owners of a website titled Stop Islamization of America to trademark the site's name in a case that legal experts think has implications for the long-running fight over the name of the Washington Redskins NFL team.
Wow.
Yesterday's case had its origin in 2011 when an examiner with the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office refused to register the website name as a trademark, arguing that it could be disparaging to American Muslims. The decision was reviewed by the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office itself and upheld. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit affirmed that decision, citing essays and comments on the website which opposed building mosques in the United States and expressions of support for Muslims who leave the faith.
I think that's an infringement. I don't agree with it. But I don't care. It's a website. If they want to trade, that's their right. That's an infringement, I believe. I don't agree with what they say. I just agree they're their right to say it.
Yeah. I think you're right.
And that's unfortunate.
It's troubling, but yeah, I think you're right.
It is, especially when you have slap your monkey on website. I mean, you got all sorts of crazy stuff out there. Or kill this or whatever. I'm sure there's some crazier titled websites. All right, where are we here? Arrogance of ignoring need for sleep. Society has become supremely arrogant in ignoring the importance of sleep. Leading researchers have told the BBC's Day of the Body Clock. Scientists from Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, Manchester, and Surrey universities warn that cutting sleep is leading to serious health problems. They say that people and governments need to take the problem seriously. Cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, infections, and obesity have all been linked to reduced sleep. The body clock drives huge changes in the human body. It alters alertness, mood, physical strength, and even the risk of a heart attack in the daily rhythm. So get your sleep, America. You don't sleep much, though.
I mean, if you add it up, I take a nap and I have about 6 hours at night and about 1 hour in the afternoon. It's like about 7 a day.
All right. Well, I guess the nap do you need the straight sleep, though?
I don't know.
I like the nap theory, though. I was going to try that.
From CNN, Karl Rove's suggestion that Hillary Clinton suffers from a brain injury is coming under attack. Rove, the mastermind behind George W. Bush's 2 presidential election victories, appeared at a conference last Thursday when he discussed a 2012 incident that sent then Secretary of State to the hospital. Then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton to the hospital, according to the New York Post's page 6.
Serious? Okay.
The newspaper's well-known gossip columns, 30 days in the hospital, Rove said, a Fox News Channel contributor, according to the report, and when she reappears, she's wearing glasses that are only for people who have had traumatic brain injury. We need to know what's up with that, suggesting that Mrs. Clinton had a brain injury.
Well, I'm sure Marco Rubio will be jumping on that bandwagon with the. Well, it's fairly important. Hey, Lori. All right, where are we now? State Department. John Kerry isn't the best person to testify about Benghazi. All right, Benghazi. Oh, okay, we're out of
time. You could have squeezed it in. You got a little bit of time.
Let's just do a quick recap of it. The State Department on Tuesday suggested that the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee may want to try finding a better person than Secretary of State John Kerry to testify about the White House's response to 2012 attack in Benghazi, Libya. Given the pressing foreign affairs issues, the Secretary is actively engaged on the committee's focus on documentation production issues. We'd like to explore whether there are better means of addressing the committee's interests, including one that's more appropriate. All right. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, he wasn't there. That was Hillary's thing. So, yeah, I agree.
All right, we've got to move forward. Thank you, Dan. How many stories do you know?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 over here.
It's 22 stories. We've got to go. This is WOCA Ocala.
Fox News Radio, I'm Lillian Wu. More than 230 people killed at a coal mine in Turkey, where still others remain trapped.
Shifts were changing in the mine, where we understand there was an explosion at an electrical transformer, and that caused a big explosion, and that is believed to have ignited a fire within the mine.
Journalist Dorian Jones in Istanbul.